Thank you so much for joining us on our inaugural Truth Lab podcast. Really appreciate your time and all your knowledge and all your enthusiasm and courage when it comes
Thanks,
to.
Alex. Thanks for having me. And we could do a whole podcast on what we just talked about for the last 10 minutes on your truth journey. So where do you want to start?
Well, I was telling Rob, like I get interested, and so another part of my background was in community organizing through the Sierra Club. And so, sometimes when it comes to things like this, it's like, how can we target specific leaders, specific influencers, and maybe what we could think of as low-hanging fruit, certain people that, have a very large audience, and to try to help onboard them, to try to help them, better understand the implications and significance of, flat Earth. And then from there, they can educate their audience. When we really start thinking about maybe what's called the 100th monkey, or morphic resonance, or critical mass action tipping point.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all that. The 100th monkey or just mass consciousness, how things are, like I think the sewing machine was invented in like 10 different places at the same time worldwide. At least that's the story they tell us, because I don't believe any of our history. I'm sure we can get into that. But you know, the biggest secret isn't that the Earth is not a ball flying through space. That's just the vehicle that they use to stop us from realizing who we are and the true power of our mind and how our mind creates our reality. And they want us to protest against all the nonsense that's going on. They want us to fight back. They want us to be scared. They want us to watch all of the scary videos and they want us to put all this negative energy out there, because that's what they thrive off of. What they don't want us to do is to completely ignore them and just live our lives and manifest the future that is truly ours, that we were created into as our legacy, as our inheritance. But they want us to believe that that none of that's true, and that we're just random pieces of meat flying through an infinite space galaxy. In an ever expanding universe. They say the universe is expanding. I think it's 1 billion miles a minute or 1 billion miles a second in every direction. I mean, it's so stupid that whether it's a minute or a second or a day, 1 billion miles just expanding for eternity. Like, expanding into what? They make it so stupid that you just short circuit. And people are like, well, a guy in a bow tie and a lab coat, he told me, so I have to believe it. And that's what I'm doing. What you said is I'm reaching people that think flat Earth is stupid or never even heard of it. And the thing is, the elite have done such a good job to make people, when they hear the idea of the Earth not being a globe, that they short circuit and they say, go away. I'm not even going to listen to you. I'm looking for truth, but not stupidity. That's literally where they have people. But if you can just get someone's attention, and so much flat Earth information's out there now, that you can get people's attention. You know what? I keep hearing about it. Okay, come on my show. Tell me about it. And if you can get somebody for 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and they can actually listen and have a mind that actually works, then there's no one doing it. Once you go flat, you can't go back.
Well, I'm not sure how long it took you, but it took me 7 years, Dave, to kind of where I started becoming curious, where as soon as a friend nudged me in 2017, when I'm flying in a plane, I'd look and I'd be like, you know what? I really don't see the curvature, but I wasn't inspired back then to really try to understand how vision works, because I think that's another big component to it. But for you, you kind of mentioned how it's the same thing, right? You're researching all these different conspiracies, trying to get to the truth. Here we are deep inside the rabbit hole, but you basically people were encouraging you to look into it and you refused, right?
Yeah, I absolutely refuse, because I'm up for, hey, yeah, they planned this bombing, they planned this fake shooting, they planned this airplane crash, whatever, and the evidence was clear. But why even look into flat Earth? You have to draw a line somewhere. Flat Earth was so far beyond the idea of a possibility. It's so stupid, because the programming from before you can talk, with all of the NASA stuff and Disney and astronauts, and And every movie, it's all about this heliocentric world, because if they have you living in their fake satanic helio nonsensical system, you have to play by their rules, and you disregard the beautiful creation that we're in and who we really are. So that's the most important thing. The people say, what difference does the shape make? I still have to go to work on Monday. I said the exact same line. What difference does it make? When all my proofs of the globe were just blowing up, I was like, well, what difference does it make? I mean, I defaulted to that. And then once you realize, wow, it makes all the difference in the world, because if you limit your mind, you put your mind in a little prison, that's sphere, and that's all that there is. And then space is unreachable and ever expanding and infinite. You've limited yourself into a mind prison. So once you get past that, once you get past the ego saying I've been lied to my whole life and everything I've ever believed is wrong, a lot of people just don't, their ego's too big and their programming is too much for them to handle that. But once you get past that, gets past the sorrow of it, and drop the pride, we never went to the moon, and all of that stuff, the whole world opens up. The world is our oyster, whatever that saying is. The world, is that the saying? The world is an oyster. That there's so much here. There's so much possibility. There's infinite possibility, but on a globe, there's limited resources, limited. And if you believe that other people, other than the God or the creator, have power over you, that's your problem. It's not my problem. Nobody has control over me other than the creator.
And you bring up a good point.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm not sure about you, but when I was young, I used to get a little anxiety sometimes when I learned about the dinosaurs, and I was told that an asteroid wiped them out and it was extinction. So I'm like, oh my God, like, what if the Earth just crashed into something, or something crashed into the Earth? And then now I'm free from that, and it's really enlightening. And we could maybe expand later about the hoax of nuclear weapons too, where people are always concerned, like World War III or a nuclear holocaust, and people freak out instead of realizing that there's infinite possibilities.
A lot of people say dinosaurs never existed. I want to present proof here. This is proof positive. This is a photograph of a dinosaur. So, there you go. Dinosaurs existed. I'm being facetious because this is like all the proof that they have for the globe. They show us, stupid pictures. This is actually more realistic than the globe pictures, to be honest. But once you look into the dinosaur hoax, into the nuke hoax, into the government hoax, into the tax hoax, into everything, it's all hoaxes, right? Was it William Casey that said the CIA director, once people believe, or Americans,
campaigns, everybody,
once they believe every, I can't remember the freaking quote now. But
well, no, our disinformation campaign is complete when everybody lies.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, and I heard that years ago, and I'd be like, everything can't be, not everything. That's stupid. It's a stupid quote. Hey, a lot of things, but it's everything. It's everything. I mean, there's really very little truth in the mainstream, in the government system, in the heliocentric system. The only thing that's true is nature. Go out in nature. That's true. Nature never lies. And once you start understanding, natural law and who you really are and what this place really isn't and is, then, those are the truths of this world. And, materialism and, all of the stuff that we're taught in the education schooling system where they school us is all nonsense. All of it. It's amazing. We're just learning about AI now. Remember, AI came out not that long ago, and now it's like everywhere. Free apps everywhere. You can do everything. And let me tell you something. The AI does some amazing things. And just like the internet, we can use it for our benefit. But I think AI was here 100 years ago. I think AI is running the show. I think AI is how the elite get away with all of their nonsense.
That's my lunchbox, right? The way he kind of talks about what are the possibilities.
My lunch break, my lunchbox, my Charlie Brown lunchbox.
No,
right?
But like, how can you have, when you look at stories like a guy's name, like, the flame and all these patterns where it's like all these descriptions of all these architects, that built the most impressive buildings, and now we can't replicate
Right.
it.
In the app right there, number one on the homeschool section is my lunch break. Have you watched every episode of his yet?
Not every, but a lot, man.
All right. You need to watch all of them and catch up. And then every week there's one more. Let me tell you something. I got to tell you something. There's kids going to school to be history majors, political science majors, and everything. If you watch all of his videos, you are more educated. Watch two of his videos, you're more educated than a history major. But if you watch all of his videos, you're now going to see the world for the lies. You're going to see so much. You don't even have to see flat Earth, but you will. But once you see what a lie our history is, the 1800s, what 1800s we got, horse and buggies and people migrating across the, Indians fighting cowboys and the Wild West saloons and everything, and that's all they have. That might have been that way a little bit, but the cities were already here. The advanced buildings were already here before that. So these are people that are just repopulating a lost world, a lost civilization. And what made that civilization go away? We can talk about that all day. But it's once you see that, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was contemplating last night about that possibility of like repopulation, but then how there's been so many people murdered due to communism. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting to reflect on that too. Like if things were repopulated so rapidly, but imagine if we didn't have all these genocides.
Well, yeah, repopulation. Where did all the people come from? Is the question. And I personally, I think they came from outer lands. Maybe people came from out here. This is where the real free world is. And when it was time to repopulate this inner world, that's perhaps where it came from, because there were, about the orphan trains. You've been looking into this stuff long enough to know about that. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And once you see, that, like all these kids, they have no recollection of their parents. There's kids everywhere, orphanages all over the country, all over the world, right? What happened to all the parents? And the world was repopulated. Again, we can speculate all day and all night about what happened there, but there was an event that limited people. Right now, look at the world. They are trying to depopulate the world. They're lying about our 8 billion people or whatever. That's a lie. I think it's less than half of that, but I have no way of verifying it. But if you look at the population numbers, they make no sense. The whole thing with the jabs that everybody got, right? If they had 5 plants making one every second, it would take 10 years for everybody on Earth to get one poke. But somehow, like 6 billion people got multiple. Okay, it's ridiculous, right? It's the whole thing is ridiculous. And when you start looking at it, it's all about keeping us sick, keeping our lives short. And I say this all the time, one of the greatest depopulation measures is college. Tools is college. And it isn't Planned Parenthood, which is huge. That's a huge one. But it's college, because when you're married, and at least here in America, you're like, all right, I'm gonna have a kid. Oh, I got for college. I'm gonna have 2 kids. Oh man, that's it. I'm done. I can't do more. Right. But if you didn't have that huge cost over your head, and you might have more kids. And most people delay having kids or have fewer kids because they're afraid of college. And then the other thing is, what's the majority of your energy, all of your work to do? It's to pay for energy. Your energy is to pay for electricity, gas, the gas for your vehicles, electricity for your house or your vehicle, and heating of your house. Imagine if you had free energy, which they're hiding it from us. Tesla, proved it. And you didn't have to pay for all those 3 things. You can make your house as hot as you want in the winter. You can make it have icicles in the summer. You could have air conditioned sheets in the summer, and you could have as much energy as you wanted to do whatever you wanted. Would that free you up? Would that give you some ability to create more and to do things? Of course. So they control us with their fake money. They control us by restricting our access to energy in this material world that they've built. and they put us in debt. They want us going to the indoctrination camps for one, and then two, just having that be a reason that you don't have more kids.
Well, for one, Dave, I wanted to touch, I watched your interview of Ruth, and I wanted to mention, I spoke maybe 2 months ago with my great aunt. She's 84 years old, and
Yeah.
I suspected that either my great grandfather or someone, my family was an orphan. And guess what she told me? Her father was an orphan. So it was a really interesting discussion I had with her. So
When I was a kid, the number one Saturday morning show was The Little Rascals. Have you ever seen any old episodes of that? Little Rascals, that was a little before your time, but it was about these kids that are orphans. They're all orphans, and that was just the normal thing. It's just orphans were everywhere. Where are the parents? What happened? What happened? And I'm sure you saw. Did you see the last or one or two my lunch breaks ago? He was showing the catacombs that are all over the world. The catacombs with the skulls under the ground.
oh, I
Watch the
yeah, yeah. I need to.
watch the most recent one on the catacombs. My lord. Okay, it's. I would say it's not. It's unimaginable. But if you say that, you're making it so you can't imagine it. You don't need to imagine it. When you see this stuff and then realize that we have no idea what the hell's going on here, what this place was before. But it certainly wasn't anything like they told us. So again, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday, is what people are saying. And the truth is, if you don't know where you are, if you don't know what your history is, if you think you're at the top of civilization, we're at the top of intelligence, when the truth is we're in the middle of the movie Idiocracy. When you don't realize that there's infinite possibilities, when you don't realize that you are as close to God as there's nothing between you and God. Government would like to get there. The government would like to get above God. The government would like to eliminate God, and that's how they control us. And so once you realize where you are, who you are, what you are, the power of your mind, everything changes. And the what difference does it make question is literally the when you finally see it, you can't unsee it. You wonder, like, wow, how was I ever so stupid to say that? And I said it. I said them all. Not looking at flat Earth. What difference does it make? I see boats go over the horizon. Sunsets prove the Earth is flat. And then when you take the time, the truth is the truth, whether you like it or not, and it just is. A lie, you have to imagine it, keep it in your head, and keep it alive. Lies don't exist by themselves. They only exist in your imagination. Right? The truth is the truth.
Mm-hmm. When did you first realize that they can't enslave us without our permission, or what's called like revelation of the method, that they have to get our consent because of free will, right?
Are you a listener to Crow 777 Radio?
Thanks to you a little bit, but I
Okay.
can't. All of this is really important to me, man. But I have I need to maintain balance. I'm trying to
I
sell.
understand. Listen, I'm going to pitch Crow for a second, and he's in the homeschool section on my app. It's an audio podcast, so you don't have to sit down and pay attention, and focus on it. You can plug it in your ear, and you can go around and do your business. It's 2 hours a week. It's the best. If you do that, you will figure out this place. He does everything from the space hoax to the nuke hoax to dinosaurs to dealing with sovereign citizens and everything. He covers the gamut of life skills. And I've told many people, don't send your kids to college. Send them to Crow University. It's $8 a month. Okay, I think that's affordable. And a lot of people have done it. They haven't sent their kids to college, and they said their kids are thriving. They're starting their own businesses. They're doing all sorts of stuff. And so I don't know. You were going somewhere, and I kind of side diverted.
You kind of had that epiphany that like they can't enslave us without our consent and our permission, and violate free will.
What people say, well, I'm only one person, I can't make a difference. If that's your belief, that is your reality, right? If you believe something's true, then you're going to behave like it's true. Therefore, it is true for you, right? When somebody says, hey, we get 30% of whatever you earn, and you believe that, then you need to take care of that. You need to take care of that, right? And when they say that, when they say you live on a spinning ball flying through an infinite space vacuum, if you don't use your God-given common sense to realize that's complete and total, utter scientifically provable nonsense, that's your problem. If you live on their ball, that's real for your reality. If you live on their playing field, you have to play by their rules. So, we have an opportunity now with the internet, with with our ability to communicate, and our awakening. The apocalypse is happening, the thinning of the veil. People are starting to wake up to take it all back. We don't need to destroy the government. That's silly. Let them be. Let them be. Ignore them, and they will vanish. Imagine if everyone in the world watched your podcast and goes, you know what? I'm no longer going to listen to the government because they really don't have any authority over me. What power do they have? They have zero power. Zero. It's only your belief in government that makes them have power. So forget protests, forget petitions, forget everything. Education. Ignore. Focus your energy towards the right thing, towards reality. Educate others and watch this world change. The world's going to split into two in 2024. There's going to be the people that see the reality and they're going to live their lives. And there's the people that are going to get stuck in the 15-minute cities, that can only do what the, government lets them do. Govern, control, ment is the mind.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place, but here we go. Go ahead.
I can't help but think, man, because I'm sure you've dealt with it. I mean, I've had a lot of people ridicule me for bringing this up, so I can't help but think about if there was a university for this or some type of curriculum, because like the way there's different levels where like somebody shouldn't, research this level until they have the rudimentary, and I hate to emulate or copy current where we take a test to like prove that we understand, but how to kind of
Here's the problem. The problem is you go to school, they're not going to teach you this, they're going to teach you the opposite. You go on Google and they're going to just feed you all of the nonsense. The fact, you're not going to find any real flat earth videos on your own very easily. So I created the app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. You can find it at flatearthdave.com, and it has all that stuff. And what I tell people is just watch the daily video. Each day there's a new video. Just watch that while you have your breakfast, while you have your cup of tea or coffee, right? One video a day. And after a couple of weeks, you're going to be fully on board with the Globe Live, right? But in here, I have the homeschool section, which you just click the little house right there, the little house and a desk. And we have all sorts of stuff. So here's a curriculum right here. Schooling Globers by Austin Wissett. Crow 777 Radio. You have the Tataria stuff at the top, old world stuff. You have My Lunch Break and John Levy and Jake, I'm the Improbable Dreamer. This stuff will educate you. It will educate you. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff in there. And once you start seeing that, there's more of a kids thing here, Earth Science, and there's a whole series in there, and you'll learn more. There's books, there's all sorts of stuff. So when you say we're looking for an education, for a way to teach people, it's here, and there's more coming. There is going to be a massive void of information when this goes mainstream, which it is going mainstream already. And people are going to be looking for information. So what I've been telling people is now is the time to create those curriculums, make those books, children's books, make all sorts of stuff, because you know what happens when you have a vacuum? Information available, if it rapidly fills that available space. You have a information vacuum, it's like air pressure. It's going to go right in there, and they're going to be looking for the stuff. So prepare now, and the biggest bull market of information, educational tools is going to be happening, and you could be at the bottom of it. You could be at the beginning of it.
I really resonate with the children's books. And back in 2017, when crypto was kind of taking off, I was part of this collective called Earth Nation. And long story short, I started using something called Teachable. I'm not sure if you know about that. It's like
about it.
Free way to make a course. So that's kind of what I was alluding to, and something where it's like, eventually getting to that, and then the idea of like a master class, and then how, if there's enough people that are an expert in this, then how can we kind of come together in the conference, and then even try to fundraise for a documentary and stuff like that, and to really, try to start applying what we know, that we are creating reality. So let's fully,
Right. I mean, there's a bunch of documentaries on flat Earth. If you go into the more resources section right here, full length videos. You said you watched Awarenon's
watch
the 5 hour video, right?
it twice. Yeah.
You watched it twice, right? In the same day?
Not at the same day, but
I did.
you watched it. And a lot of times, Dave, I don't know about you, I'll watch on 2x speed
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
is always kind of, it's a balance where it's abundant, but it's like time, man. We got to time management.
Hey, you watch 2x speed, you can watch twice as much as long as you can follow it. Some of the stuff though, the old world stuff, I like watching a regular speed because the images that you got to soak them in a little bit. Like John Levy, the slowest talking guy on earth. I watch him at regular speed all the time, which is the weirdest thing because at double speed, he sounds like a slow person. Okay. All right. So I watch him at regular speed because the images he's showing, and I really want to soak it in. So where we're going with that?
Well, I mean, on one hand, because of my background in lobbying, like, is it even worthwhile to try to get certain Congress critters on board? I mean, there's a lot of people that try to wake them up to like, why aren't you saying anything about the chemtrails? Why aren't you saying anything about HARP? We just dealt with all of this, Northern Lights stuff, and
and they fired HARP up to full speed. They full power the days leading into it. I'm sorry, your microphone. If I overtalk you, your microphone cuts out. So sorry. Go ahead.
It's fine. I'm just saying I reached out on Facebook to the chief meteorologist in my area, and I posted that, and then he wrote back to me because a lot of people were liking it, and he's like, "That was only seen in Alaska," and it's like I didn't even bother engaging because it's like, dude, it's like obviously people are actors to a certain extent. Actors. It's not.
Look at those sunbeams behind you. They're the crepuscular, right? That sun was 93 million miles away. It wouldn't look like that. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been great. I mean, on one hand, because like what I'm saying, I mean, I get it. I mean, some people kind of at first really just have trouble, with like, oh, how do seasons work? And, all the other planets are around, and, trying to explain to them and educate them that it's all orbiting around Polaris, and Austin, as we know, does a really great job speaking about what he calls ether cosmology. And, when we just look at the orbits of what we call Venus and Mercury and Mars and Jupiter and Saturn and Neptune and the type of sacred geometry, it's like, it's amazing, So that's why it's crazy. Some of these astrophysicists that want to, work on a unified solution to all the forces of nature, but they're trying to do it with the, like you said, the infinite expansion that like is stupid. It makes no sense. And some of these people try to create formulas and the mathematics of gravity, theoretical gravity at the quantum scale to make the nonsensical gravity work in the quantum. It's laughable. But then I do question how some of these people get funding. And I, when I was working with Nassim, he got millions of dollars from some person allegedly that in like a royal family in Brazil. And from my understanding, like maybe 20 million people in Brazil know the earth is flat. And then it's like, well, wait a minute, is there somebody that, wants to fund people like Nassim that kind of keeps people confused a little bit, because these are people that are trying to allegedly, study ancient civilizations and, develop this unified solution, but then they're just not letting go of the ball and they're not letting go of heliocentric.
I tried to reach out to Nassim a whole bunch of times to have a conversation online, offline with him, and I can never get through to him. And and people say, well, he's not responding. He's a shill. I have no idea what his deal is, But people that are funded, that have mainstream shows and stuff, they can't touch this topic because if they do, they lose everything. They lose it all because this topic is frowned upon by the top of the top, by the elite. I don't think that everybody in government knows. I think most of them are just idiots. Obama, he knew, right? He mentioned flat Earth a half a dozen times during his speeches and mocking it, sending people to the Flat Earth Society, which is nonsense.
Have you heard Hillary Clinton will kind of jokes about we haven't broken that highest ceiling yet.
The highest glass ceiling, she said, right? And
See,
yeah, so they know. So there's people, elite John Kerry, he knows. The people that end up going to Antarctica and disappearing for 3 days and then they come back. I think that's where the real leaders of this world operate, and whether they're just like us or something else, I couldn't tell you because I'm not there. But there's whistleblowers that say that there's cities of millions of people in what we call Antarctica. So again, why aren't we allowed to go there? Why is Antarctica off limits? Why did they change the name of the island of Kiribati? Right? Formerly, I used to call it Kiribati, but it's pronounced Kiribati. And now they changed the name. And when you Google Earth looking for it, it takes you to the other side of the world. What happened? Is it because we've been talking about it? Because it is an important island?
it's like when you were interviewing Ruth, and then all of a sudden they shut down the nursing homes. We can't talk to
No
the.
kidding. Like, am I responsible for that? I mean, it could be. Can't rule it out. Because I went on shows. I'm like, everybody, you need to go to nursing homes and access these people that are over 100. We only have a couple of years left, and bam, nobody can get in a nursing home. Like 2 days later, what's up with that?
I found a guy who was allegedly with Admiral Byrd, but he just passed away. He was like 102, and I was
Yeah,
like,
the oldest guy from the expedition. Then he's gone.
Jacksonville or nearby, and I was like, this. I would have loved to talk with him because we do have a lot of video of Admiral Byrd, and there's people that specialize in body language, detection or deception
Yep.
detection. Analyze like Richard Byrd, and we anyone can look up that he was a 33-degree Freemason. So there's a whole pattern recognition with all these 33-degree Freemasons. And
Yeah, the one of the whistleblowers, an old retired Army guy, who's 94. Somebody was working at his house, and he was talking about he goes, I really can't talk about it. I have an NDA until I'm 100, right? And that's genius on the government's part, because by the time you're 100, you're either dead or you can't, nobody's listening to you because you've gone crazy.
it's like with Jibby Jab, right? If we have to
Yeah,
wait a year, everyone's.
yeah. But that was my point there. He was saying that there's millions of people living in so-called Antarctica. I had a point, but I lost it. It'll come back.
Think it's maybe beyond Antarctica, and they just say it's Antarctica. Maybe it's
Anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica in a glober's mind is Antarctica, right? Whether it's connected in land or you go beyond more water and then land again. I couldn't tell you.
I think, Dave, I don't know if you've thought about this, but I feel like if someone could study migration patterns of whales and even some birds like albatross, they have to,
Yeah, there's a map. I've been looking for it just recently. I have to look for it again, of where these penguins migrate from Antarctica, and they only migrate to 3 places, and all of them on the flat Earth map are the closest points to Antarctica. But on a globe map, it makes no sense that they were at 1 or 2 of the places. It makes no sense whatsoever.
handy because sometimes
Again?
like the map handy to kind of show that, like where they're migrating, kind of because
Yeah, I don't have. I had the map, but I have to find it. If somebody has that map, please send it to me.
some people, we say how it's the container, but then I've seen with your videos how like there's maybe some shipping boats going in there, and that maybe it can be the highest elevation, but are there passageways through it? Because that's kind of what I resonate with a little bit, because when we look at even the globe map, it kind of shows like a channel or something, and then would that just be an opening to get through? Because I
Maybe.
believe that it would
I
only
mean,
be airship.
so this is called the Summers Gate. This opening right here, and if you look at the Getty Museum I think it's in California, and you zoom in on it from Google Earth, they have a flat Earth map with this opening around it, and it's got a waterways. It's like this whole flat Earth pond, and then it has an opening right where it says Summers Gate. It's like the same thing, and the water goes out, and there's like more land. interesting how they put stuff like that right out in plain sight for people to see.
Well, like in the United Nations, they have a similar map that kind of shows like the one you just pulled up. And then I've seen
Yeah,
like Air Force One in the past. I've seen
right,
it.
right. So the United Nations, International Maritime Organization, Civil Aviation Organization, and the World Meteorological Organization all use these flat maps, you know? So
Flat map day.
fascinating.
Globe. It's the
It's,
Azure, whatever it is, that's all it is.
yeah, that's what they say.
Some people, it's why there's nothing you can say, you know what I mean? It's cognitive dissonance, or it's the unwillingness to
Right.
understanding, like the way I explain it now, it's suspend disbelief and be curious. Like being curious is a choice, and eventually it can become a habit where people just love learning and people like being curious, and of course we can't be gullible. I call it being an open-minded skeptic, but the key word there is open-minded, right? Compared to just ridiculing and instantly trying to laugh at somebody because it's like, oh, wow, you must know it all, right? I mean, even the smartest person alive would admit that what they don't know is trillions of times more than what they know, right? I mean, so, there's a lot with the humility and, I
Glo-
this is the source of all fear. It's the fear of the elite, where they're just afraid of like I'm getting caught, that they've been lying and duping us, so on, and that we have all the power.
we do, and but if you believe that you're powerless, say, "Oh, what difference does it make? I can't do anything. I'm only one person." One person with the truth is more powerful than all of the people with a lie. The problem is you have to have the gumption, if that's the right word, to stand up to it. You have to have the ability to hold your own, hold your position, hold your truth. And if you can't do that, you can just become, go right back into sheepleness and follow along just to get along. And like, oh, I'm pretty happy. I get 2 weeks vacation every year, and they pay me for that. And and I get the weekends off. And in the summer, I get a half a day on Friday for 8 weeks. And and if that's your life and you're happy with it, and they're giving you just enough money to get by or to do well, that's your deal. But that's not what life is. Life is way more than that. And if you live in a fake world, you can still have a pretty good time, but it's way more interesting. The world is way more interesting. The world boredom or jealousy or those two words are gone. They're literally gone from my vocabulary. Right? I appreciate and I am in wonderment all of the time, every day, more and more every day. I know that if I lived 1,000 years, I would never stop learning new stuff. But Globers think they know everything. They think they know everything because they read it in a book because a guy in a bow tie who lies told them. They just, it's easy to believe in the globe, right? You can make up any excuse you want. Oh, the earth is curving, but you can't see it. You can't measure it. The horizon's not physical. For refraction. Oh, something should be 1,000 feet over the curve. Let me move the refraction meter. Up, there it is. Oh, there's that much refraction, right? It's the stuff, the mental gymnastics that they have to go through to prove the globe is sickening, right? When the truth is, that it's straight, flat, level, horizontal, whatever you want to call it, topographical, and non-moving. And that is clear as day to a 5-year-old and to anybody else that hasn't been so programmed that they can't see reality at all.
Is there a way you could explain in a nutshell about the nuclear hoax? Because I just honestly tried to start researching that last night. And
So again, Crow 777 radio episode, I think it's 35 and 400. If you listen to those two episodes, it's going to take you 4 hours at regular speed, and then you will know. But think about this. We're told that a nuclear bomb blows up, leaves radiation that has a half-life of like 40,000 years, right? Which means in 40,000 years, it's half the radiation is gone. And then another 40,000 years, half of that is gone. Well, crap. 3 days after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the stores were open, the trains were running, people were back to work, people were selling flowers on the street. Nobody was allowed to take a picture or write an article. If you did, you got put in jail, except one guy for the national press or New York Times or whatever it was. He was the only one allowed to send pictures and write stories about it. Okay, so that's a problem. People, plants, and animals have thrived in Hiroshima and Nagasaki always, still do. They have less cancer there than we do in the United States. So something's wrong there. Guy named Galen Windsor he was a nuclear physicist or whatever, and he was going around showing them that like nuclear power plants aren't what they say. The pools are not radioactive. He swims in them because they're warm, and he drinks the water, and he can eat plutonium. He was showing them that none of that is real. Now, radiation is real. Yes, radiation will burn you. A nuclear power plant uses plutonium because plutonium, if you let it out in the air and the water, it reacts, makes heat, and boils water that creates steam that turns pistons. Nuclear power plants are steam engines. That's all they are, right? And they're just using a high-tech way to boil water. You can use potassium, right? Potassium will burn, put it in water, it'll burn, it'll create steam, and you can turn the pistons. So, the whole nuke hoax thing goes from nuclear power plants to nuclear bombs. Not as described. Not as described. But they can certainly trick us. They could, blow up a big bomb somewhere and then crank up some towers that have radiation on them that will burn your skin. The 5G towers are the same thing as the active denial system that the government has, right? You see an army where they send these 5G waves at you and people feel like their skin is burning and they run away instantly, disperse crowds. Well, look at all the towers they put up. Let's say for a 500-mile radius, they crank these things up to full power, right? Everyone's getting radiation sickness and they're like, oh, that's from the nuclear bomb. Everyone in the world will believe it. Everyone will believe it. And everyone will freak out. And they're just completely controlling people by propaganda, right? People are so freaked out about what's going on with the well, I don't want to say the word, but the boogeyman that flies through the air and kills grandma. That it's all nonsense. Yes, there are things that make you sick, right? And one of those things is the thing that they stick in your arm. So I don't want to say more about that because it's going on YouTube. But if you want to find out more information about that, go to stoplookthink.com and just type in the C word, and you'll have all the stuff that's been hidden from you. Here's the thing. Bullshit is easy. You can just believe it. You have no work to do. Nothing. You're done. I heard it. I believe it. I'm done. Okay? You watch the news. They tell you something. You believe it. You're done. You want to know the truth. You got to take the time, the effort. You got to exercise that brain muscle, not that memorization muscle. Hey, I heard on the news, they said, blah, 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 therefore, blah, 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 is true. Okay? That's memorization and regurgitation. By the way, they said, blah, 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 but that really doesn't make sense. Let me really research it. I'm going to Google. Oh, that's going to help. You got to know where to look, how to think. And that takes time and effort. People are lazy. So you want to know the truth. You got to constantly research. Since I discovered flat earth in 2014, 2015, I haven't stopped for a minute, any day, every day. While I'm sleeping, I am constantly thinking about it. I'm constantly figuring things out. That's how I figured out the perspective and the sunsets. I've really nailed that. But again, you have to take the time to understand how that works. The sunsets are the easiest things to explain on flat earth. They make no sense on a globe earth. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Every single thing that proves flat earth, which are tons, each one by itself destroys the globe. But globers ignore. They just scatter shot. They go from thing to thing to thing. And then they're like, oh, refraction and gravity. And, and you're stupid and you live in your mother's basement. That's all they have. They got nothing. So reality tells the story. And, helio nonsensical BS is what keeps us slaves. And people are fighting for their own slavery. How could everyone be in on it, Dave? I'm like, they're not. There's people, that are just so lost in the hypnotic sauce that they will fight for their own slavery. They'll like, you know what? Let me Google. Oh, I just watched Looney Tunes and and Strawman Dan and that's what came up in Google. And I believe what they say. And Dave McKeegan, right? These guys are pushed to the front because they talk with accents, they talk confidently, they make things so complicated. You're like, wow, those guys are smart. I don't understand. The reason you don't understand the globe nonsense is not because you're stupid, it's because it's stupid. All right. But it's so complicated that you're like, oh, I don't understand. It's complicated because it's bullshit. Right. So once you get past that, once you take the time, the effort, and have the courage to look at this, then you'll see why it matters. You'll see.
It's like in the Matrix, there is no spoon. There's no authority but the belief in that we have to, you know.
Yeah. The Matrix, the documentary, and the movie Idiocracy. Have you ever watched that movie? Okay. It used to be a comedy, but
What's
now
the
it's a documentary.
conference last month in Orlando, and
Nobody laughs at my joke ever. It's the funniest joke ever.
we were talking about that, but then when I brought up the flat Earth, all I got was ridicule. Like me versus four people that wanted to say that's, and then I'm like, you're just proving the point.
So the point is, here's the thing. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 proof of the globe. Bring it. Let's go. No one's got it. Nobody. The globe trolls don't even try anymore.
Problem is too, Dave, it's like the problem is when people just want to disprove instead of seeking understanding, right? You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
people want to be curious at all about what? The globe, like be curious about it, understand, the size, the speed, how can our average day work on a globe, there's something called the equinox where it's even light and day. Like what is the Earth slowing its rotation? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really make any sense. And then we're told the precession of the equinox, and we can look at the sky and take a picture of the stars and wait 6 months, do it again. I mean, but the problem is people don't want to be curious. They can't overcome that indoctrination, but they can, if they want to be an open-minded skeptic and they want to like just be humble, like you and I, right? We both had to accept we were duped. Isn't that the same story for all of us? Like we
Right.
had to be humble and accept that we were misled, we were duped.
Right. So on the flat Earth, the sun goes around, and then it migrates in between the tropics. It goes tight around the center during our northern summer and wider out during this winter. Okay. So every year on July 8th, 80%, 99% of the population, but it's more like 70 some odd percent of the Earth is in light at the same time. That's impossible on a globe. No matter how you tilt or spin a globe with a single source light an infinite distance away, exactly half of the globe will be in light and half of the globe will be in dark all the time. Make sense, right? Ball, single light, no matter how you spin it and twist it, only half from that equator facing the light is lit. But they every July 9th, July 8th, all of the 70+% of the world is in light. And this kind of shows the only 2 places that aren't are Australia and what is it, Tahiti or whatever. But it shows you how the light works. Again, there's videos on it on the app. If you just search day and night in the video search, you'll find evidence. You'll find videos explain that. But again, these things don't work. On the globe, there's a physical horizon. The North Star is at 0 degrees north. So anything beyond the equator, south of the equator, you should never be able to see it. But the North Star has been seen from as far as 30 degrees south. That's impossible on a globe. The Southern Cross has been seen from Texas, impossible on a globe. But they always scream, oh, refraction, right? You can rule that stuff out easy. The airplane flying from Germany to Brazil never saw the stars rise, but as you dive over the ball, those stars in front of you should now be over your head, but they don't. That's reality. Right? But people just want to believe animation, right? People want to believe animation.
Yeah,
It's
but
crazy.
investigation, man, it's deep when you look into like it's NASA is Disney basically, because before NASA came out, it was Walt Disney and Warren von Bern trying to indoctrinate people together. And then next thing you know, here they are. And these unfortunately are our parents and our grandparents that
Right.
be subjugated to this. So
Right. This plane is flying. There's 500 miles of curvature on this flight. So where is that 500 miles of drop? Okay. Where's that drop? Okay. It's flying straight and level over the Earth plane, over the Earth plane. Okay. Right. When on a globe, this is how you're flying, right? This is how you're flying, right? But it's actually worse than that because on a globe, this is how you're flying because the Earth is spinning. So you're moving with the Earth, making this figure eight pattern, right? You're following that white line around because that's spinning with the Earth. How stupid is that? How dumb is that?
I know
Right?
we're
But people,
talk about it, but
go ahead.
with these pilots, if they didn't get the, what, they were going to be fired. So it was a way to kind of, organize who are the obedient people who aren't going to question, and then who are those that are thinking for themselves.
Right. So wherever you are on the globe, you're always on the top. And down is always straight down to the center of the Earth. So this is what the space would look like if you were flying around the Earth in space. And these stars would rise over your head as you dive over the ball, right? So right now, my camera is right in front of my fingers, which are the windshield of the airplane. And as I dive around the ball, the camera is now above my head because I'm looking down that way, right? But if we look at reality, this is a flight from Brazil, from Germany to Brazil, 4,000 miles. These stars here should be overhead, but they don't. They don't rise up. Now, this is what Google Earth says that plane should look like. The stars should be rising up. They should be rising up as you're diving over the ball. So people want to believe an animation made by the globalists versus reality. This is reality. Right. And the only thing the globers came up with is they go, well, that's because you're going with the spin of the Earth. And that's why they're not rising, because they're spinning with you. Well, they filmed it in the other direction and the same thing happened. If we were going with the spin of the Earth, the other way, the stars would be going twice as fast. They would be rising over you because they'd be spinning against you like cars on the opposite side of a highway. They'd be whizzing over your head, but it doesn't happen. And then you know what happens when we point that out? They change the topic. They never address it again. This alone. Now, you can't scream refraction here. You can't scream anything other than, I give up. You're right. The Earth is not a globe. Or it's 1,000,000 times bigger than they said. 1,000,000. And that still wouldn't work.
I know you mentioned this a lot, Dave, but just to beat the dead horse, how even though we're both very confident about this, for everybody watching, verify, take the time, verify this. It's the only way for people to develop the confidence is to look into the globe, look into it yourself, take the time, this matters.
Don't believe anything I say. Verify it yourself. Oh, that takes time and effort. I can either believe you or I could just keep believing in the globe. Believing in the globe, that's easier. Okay. I'm not going to change my opinion because then all my whole life is a lie. And I have to retool my entire life, my entire beliefs, my entire love for Star Wars and Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica and Sesame Street. I'd have to get rid of all of that garbage. I'll just believe in the globe. It's much easier. It takes no effort. I can go drink beer and go listen to music and watch sports and cheer for my sports team with all my energy, give all that energy out rather than take my life back, right? That's easier. That's easier.
But
right?
remember,
this is more fun and more rewarding and amazing.
Got to give people compassion because look, man, every day I'm getting an alert. What was it? Boeing was about to launch astronauts to the International Space Station. Elon all the time with SpaceX. I mean, it's crazy. And then imagine if we actually looked and saw how many movies came out last year about space. You know what I mean? It can be so subliminal. When we really think about it. And
speaking of movies, we're recording this on the 14th of May. I think in 1 week, one to 2 weeks, Sean Hibbler, who made the Level series, Level with Me, and the Next Level. Have you seen those?
No.
They're in the app in the movie section. Check them out at hibblerproductions.com, or don't shoot me, Sean. You can look it up. And those are great movies, but he's coming out with Old World Order, and it's airing on the Stu Peters network for free. Everybody, you gotta watch it. It's gonna blow it's gonna open. If you're already into Tataria, Old World, you're going to be like, wow, that was really good. But if you have no idea, I think after this movie comes out, all history wings of all colleges and universities are going to shut down. They're going to shut down because they're teaching garbage, complete and total garbage. The Old World Order on Stu Peters' network. Check it out, people. And Stu, by the way, just did a piece on Antarctica. He did a piece on Antarctica. It's on my channel, on the app. If you just search Stu Peters, it comes right up. It it was about how what are they hiding in Antarctica, and his it was really good to bring his audience over to the flat side of the world. He did use a bunch of straw man images, but that was his producer. It's not his fault. I actually took the video and I took out all the stupid images and put in the correct images and fixed it. But he did a really good job. So check that out, everybody.
It's funny. I just thought about how I think it like Biden, you know, his administration, at some point they tried to create a new office, like the Office of Countering Disinformation, but somehow it never went anywhere because that's the only thing they have, really, you know, is to keep trying to tell people that it's disinformation, it's dangerous, like don't look into it. And then with the possibility of AI, they start trying to like rewrite things, you know, and to be like, oh, that's not real, it's just artificially created or what. But
I'm spacing out on the name of the law. There used to be a law that said it's illegal to falsely advertise to American people, propaganda to Americans in America. And during Obama's um, administration, he repealed that. God, I can't. I know the name by heart. He repealed this. Oh, whatever. Everyone, I'm sure people are listening are screaming out the name. I can't hear you. This was recorded weeks ago. What was the name of it? All right, whatever. But he repealed it. And how come there wasn't a revolution? Wait, you repealed a law that says that the government can't lie to us with propaganda. You repealed it. That should have sparked a revolution. But you know why there wasn't a revolution? Because people are lazy.
yeah,
Brains are fried. They can't think, and they're lazy, and they're too busy paying for electricity and gas, and and trying to just maintain their lives that they've been locked into in the heliocentric fiat currency world that was created for them to enslave them. So something Stevens Act.
Stevens
No,
Act.
no, it's
I know what you're talking about, though.
yeah, I just have a brain fart.
Wrap this up. I'm curious, and I think a lot of viewers, I mean, you maybe mentioned it. I just would like to hear your experience of going from like an atheist to.
So I want to rephrase that. Was I an atheist? I think atheist is a really strong word. I just didn't believe in any religions.
Agnostic, right? That it can't be proven.
Agnostic is less severe than atheist, right?
Agnostic isn't that you don't believe in a creator, it's that you think there's no evidence of it.
Yeah, I was more of an agnostic.
No, you know,
Yeah, and that's where I was. I was spiritual. I thought, okay, there is some sort of higher power, but I didn't really get into it at all. And it's because of heliocentrism, where they tell us that these stars are, our sun is a tiny star compared to other stars, right? Our sun can hold a million Earths in it or whatever. It's so stupid. We're a grain of sand and they're a big yoga ball, right? That's the sun, right? And the Earth is a grain of sand next to it, or a BB, right? And in the Bible, I went to my first Bible study as a young teenager, and they said that they read a passage where the stars fell to the earth. I'm like, Bible's complete and total garbage. That can't happen. You can't. The stars would eat the earth. It can't fall to the earth. The earth is a grain of sand. The star is the size of a house, right? And I disregarded all religions because of that verse right there, because that's what they taught me in school, right? Years ago, before this round of population, the understanding that there was a creator is a fact. That was a fact. And now that it's a belief, right? They've created a world where the creator is a belief. And governments can't have a world where the creator is a fact, because then they would have to make all of their laws to abide by God's law, to abide by natural law, right? But because they've created a world where the creator is a belief, they can do whatever they want because it's their world. They created it. You can't do that in God's world, nature. And when you become a flat earther, you have no choice but to understand there's a creator. And that's it. If the whole world woke up to flat earth tomorrow, the whole world would know there's a creator. And we could argue all day on which book is right and everything. It could be a combination of them all. But the whole, understanding that there is a higher power, there is a creator, that we were created. I mean, even the top scientists of the world are like, the human eyeball, I think it was Dawkins that said, the human eyeball is, don't quote me on that, is proof of creation. It didn't come from, an amoeba having defects that created something better, right? Imagine if I had a little circuit board and I threw it on the floor, and now it's a bigger circuit board, and I threw it on the floor again, and now it became a motherboard for a computer, and I did it 100 more times. Now I got a MacBook Pro. Okay, that's less crazy than evolution. Okay, so there you go.
You want to touch on? I mean, I think we try to keep it an hour, right? And usually,
yeah. What was you wanted me to answer? What was the question again? There's another question.
Well, I mean, it was really just that. I just kind of wanted to hear, what it was like for you going from, like, you kind of clarified how you didn't really think of it as innate, you just kind of saw organized religion to a certain extent.
It's the greatest transition ever in my entire life. It's the most amazing thing. The world has opened up to me, and I see the power of having a relationship with the creator. All right. If somebody said that to me 10 years ago, I'd be like, oh, you're a religious kook, and I'm going to distance myself from you because you're too stupid. That's how I would look at it. But now, it's not a belief, it's a fact. It's an undisputable fact for those of you that are willing to look, to go there, to understand what this place is. So again, I came to flat earth before I realized there was a creator, because flat earth forced me to understand there's a creator. There's a verse in the Bible that basically says, once you see my creation, the earth, you can no longer deny my existence. And that's what they're trying to hide. They're trying to hide us from seeing that this world is intelligently designed, because once you see that, you can't deny the creator anymore. Heliocentric world, you could say, all right, there's a creator. All right, there's a Big Bang made up by a bunch of, a Jesuit priest in the Vatican, right? That's where they want you. They want you in a world where you can deny creation. And then, they want you living afraid. I'm no longer afraid of anything. I realize that there is no limitation. There is no limitation of possibilities. There is no shortages. There is no overpopulation. There's only a shortage of critical thinking people, but that's growing very fast. So as people wake up, this world is going to change for the better. And, and I think it's happening right now. So, there's people like you out there, you're starting your new podcast. And if you reach one person and they reach some more people, and you reach 10 people and 100 people and 1,000 people, this is what it takes. It takes a bunch of little snowballs to create an avalanche, but we're in the middle of that avalanche right now. And let me tell you, people, before the end of this month, that avalanche is going to be very, very big. I got some big interviews coming up, very big interviews.
I was about to ask you that, like what you have coming up, because I saw you're going to be in England. You're going to go over the pond, right? And
yeah, I'll be traveling to a couple different places. All I'm going to say is right now, I'll be flying somewhere in a week and a half or so. And there's 3 or 4 very, very, very big shows I'll be on. On June 22nd, save that time, 10 a.m. Make sure you go to theflatearthpodcast.com to find, or if you have the app, it'll pop up on the app. I'll be on a live show at 10 a.m. Eastern. And let's just say that there's hundreds of thousands of people that watch that show.
is that for the solstice? It's around that time, kind of.
No, it's not the solstice. Is it May? No, solstice is long gone. September, April, September, and
The summer solstice, June. It's like June 20.
that's June 21st. Right. This is May. This is the end of May.
Okay,
End of May.
But I
Yeah,
want to say,
yeah.
our producer in the back, producer Bob, Rob, he said it was the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, what you were talking about with
Oh,
Obama.
Smith Month. Thank you. Thank you for screaming that out.
Smith.
Smith Month. Yes. You know what? Here's the thing. I've forgotten more than most Globers will ever know.
That's good. And then
Yeah.
what do you think? Because like I can't help. I mean, I was just in Orlando at a big conference. This conference was for fund managers, but I
Yeah.
think like, okay, well, when are we going to do a big conference? I mean, you
We
know,
do conferences. I mean, I'm going to this in the UK. If anyone's listening in the UK, the June 27th, 8th, 9th, and 30th, in Dorset, England. We're having a 4-day music and health and truth and flat earth. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. People can't you camp there. They've got glamping. It's going to be super fun. There's like 50 bands and DJs and it's going to be super fun. You can find all that information, everything I talk about, flatearthdave.com, my app, flatearthdave.com. The app is getting a new, you can see the button here already. It's got a dating section and a meetup section, which are going to literally change the game for everybody. Um, because when you're flat, you don't want to go out with a Glober. Well, there's plenty of people on the app that will help wake you up. You have the app yet?
I don't, Dave. I
That's all
definitely.
right. That's okay. Oh, I'm not logged in. Oh, there we go. So here's the app. Check it out. These are the people that have the app right here in the United States, right? Over in the UK. So there's a lot of awake people out there. And I would say this is less than 1% of the flat earth population,
I would agree.
right? Yeah, they're everywhere, right? You're flat and you don't have it.
It's just because I try to balance my life, man, where it's like
No,
I
I
don't.
get it. I get it. I'm not requiring you to have it. I was just a question if you had it. So I don't know if you'd seen how many people there are. So
And I'm
super
definitely.
fun.
But let's stay in touch. I have a friend who has a farm about an hour north of me, and she's put on music festivals there and things like that. And then I just feel like, Orlando's, I think it's like the second most popular place besides Vegas, to put on a conference.
There's a lot of flat earthers down there. So yeah.
So
There's a conference going on in um it's on the East Coast there. I forget where it is now. Where does everyone go play golf on the down near Florida? They're
everywhere.
in everywhere. Um it's somewhere over there. It's not announced yet, but it'll be out there, and that's coming up in October or November. It used to be called Flagtoberfest. It might be called something else this year, and there'll be a lot of people there. So you should go to that one.
Dude, are you planning on being there?
I don't even know when it is yet, so hopefully it doesn't conflict with anything. But I've gone to all the ones in the past. That doesn't guarantee that I'll be at this one, but I hope to.
Yeah, because like a lot of us, man, I love learning online, but I'm really about networking in person, and
Yeah, in real life is the way to go. I get it. That's why people are using the app to find people in their hometown, and the people are having meetups or monthly. The Flat Earth Social Group, they have like almost 100 people that show up for their meetups. I think, or it's a good number. There's a couple hundred people in their group. They do it every month at the last Saturday of the month or something like that, the last Tuesday of the month, whatever it is. But again, the app is going to help bring people together. The meetup maker, you'll get alerts when somebody creates a meetup. Like if somebody was having a meetup 10, 20, 30, 40 miles from you, how would you know about it?
Facebook.
But if you're on the app, you can say, notify me anytime there's a meetup within X radius. And then you'll get an email with all the details. You're like, hey, you know what? I got nothing going on Saturday. I'm going to go check this out.
App, or you have to do the yearly subscription.
The yearly subscription is $11 a year. Okay. So the subscription includes everything on the app that's there and everything that's coming in the future. But if you don't do the subscription, you can just refer the app to 11 people and then you get it for free.
Yeah, I've
And
seen it.
everybody wants the app. It couldn't be cheaper. It couldn't be cheaper. It's $3 for the app, get 95% of all the features. And then if you want the extra stuff, it's $11 a year. A year. That's a crappy margarita without leaving a tip for the bartender.
Is there a way people can get it without giving Apple 30%? Because that's kind of
Yes. Well, Apple with Apple, unfortunately, they only take 15%, by the way. The with Apple, they make it so you have to buy it through them. But Google Play, if you email me, you can get it. You can get it where you pay direct. And also, there's going to be coming out this summer will be a open source version for Google and for Apple where you can just download it and get it direct from me.
cool. Well, maybe we
And
could
yeah.
do barter. I could send you a little more capsules or do something
Oh, we could definitely do that. We could definitely do that. I've been taking your moringa, moringa, right? And I feel terrific,
already.
but I don't know if it's from the moringa. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. You know what? So the thing is, I need to give it to somebody that feels like crap and give them nothing else and see what happens. Um, your testimony for it sounds amazing. I can only believe that it's doing something, but I
Hey,
feel good.
believe me, do some research. I mean, I used to tell
I,
people, just ask your phone, what is the world's most nutrient dense plant? And then boom, moringa. And then if we're really trying to learn a lot, we need
yeah,
nutrition, right? That's a big pet peeve I have with our schools when we look at the junk.
you know what? All I can say is I've been taking your moringa for I don't know how long now, a couple months, 2 months.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I forgot what the Smith Month Act was. First time ever. First time ever.
Great, just like me, man. We both kind of wing it. I didn't really prepare much. You really didn't have to either because we're speaking from the heart, right? And that's what really matters. So,
Yeah, I'm kidding about that. I'm sure that the moringa is having a positive effect on me. But I'm gonna keep taking it. I'll see. I'm gonna keep taking it and see what happens.
I could always get you just powder if you prefer that compared to capsules. And
The
they make
capsules are certainly easy. They're easy, and the powder I would end up skipping now and then because I don't have time. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Maybe work out a little barter deal.
sounds great, man. I'm always here. And the one and only David Weiss, Flat Earth Dave, thank you so much for helping launch this new podcast. I really appreciate you a lot,
All
man.
right. And again, don't believe anything I say. If you think flat Earth is stupid, come win my 3 Bitcoins. Just watch. You gotta get the app. Watch a daily video every day for 2 weeks. At the end of that 2 weeks, if you think the Earth is a globe, send me a proof, and you win 3 Bitcoins. All right.
Yep.
So there you go.
Sounds good. I will say, Dave, some people might be like, well, put it in escrow, because I do have some people that try to say that. So,
Yeah. Well, how about just give me an idea of what your proof is. I'll already know it, and I'll show you how it's wrong. All right. I'm not going to tell you, oh, no, it's wrong. I'm not going to make an empty claim. I'm going to show you how it's wrong. And then here's the thing. That's how I became a flat earther. I tried to prove the globe. That's how we all become flat earthers. Prove the globe.
yep. And then just
So,
up to all the deception, it's like there comes a point when we realize like Hollywood and all the movies, it's like they just want us think about, and I'm sorry to keep going, but like Titanic, when we know the truth about some people that were trying to stop, the Federal Reserve, and then there's a
all
movie with
right.
DiCaprio, and so when people think of Titanic, they don't think about the people that were trying to stop the Federal Reserve. They think of this nonsensical story, you know what I mean? It's like, and then there's so many
All right.
examples of that, so but luckily I think we've broken free of the spell. And like what you said, 2024 is the year of empowerment and hopefully enlightenment on a flat level playing scale.
Right. And speaking of Titanic, remember this Seagate or whatever that went down? So think about this. You're one guy that went down is a billionaire. So you're a billionaire. You go down in this tube that has no windows. And you're watching on a little screen what it sees when you could have stayed up on the big ship, had somebody rubbing your shoulders and your feet, eating caviar, watching it on a big screen. Okay. But you're in this little thing that collapsed upon itself. Right. And out of nowhere, all these engineers allegedly come out and like, well, it happened because of this, it happened because of this. But in 50 years, no engineer will even comment on how this is possible. Okay. This right here proves the earth is flat. We didn't go to the moon and people are lost in the sauce. This is just a trick to make people stop going down and investigating the Titanic because they'll see that it didn't hit something. There was it was done from the inside.
Well, thanks. Well, like Dave said, get his app and join the community and let's make the 100th monkey work, and let's create the future that we all know in our hearts. We while just living day by day, being grateful and full of energy and enthusiasm.
Absolutely. And that's what flat earth does. It lifts you out of depression, because depression is when your soul is like, hey, you're missing it. And your brain's like, oh, I'm too buddy. I'm watching the news. I'm too scared. I'm worried about nuclear bombs. Putin said this. And right, and your soul's trying to talk to you and you're not listening. And that's where you come spiritually disconnected and you become depressed. And you become depressed. You go on drugs and alcohol and all of this stuff, right? And when you wake up to flat earth, all of a sudden your spirit comes back. And I've seen people lift out of depression, out of alcoholism, out of drug addiction, and they literally get their lives back.
With that news is just for north, east, west, and south.
So some people say that news means something else. I don't know. It's kind of weird that it has a northeast, west, south. They're steering your mind, and like the Arctic, right? So someone says Arctic means north and Antarctic means not north. Okay. I think that was made after the fact. But if you look at this, the sun, so here's the Tropic of Cancer. Everything inside of this circle, we'll call that the Arctic area. Everything in between the two tropics is the tropic area. And everything outside of the Tropic of Capricorn is the Antarctic, right? What's the sun doing if I'm standing inside the circle? It's arcing around me. It's tick.
Tick-tock.
Tick like a clock. Tick like a clock. It's arcing around me. The Arctic. The sky is the perfect clock. It's the most perfect clock on Earth, more accurate than the finest watches. All right. Out here, it doesn't arc around me. It comes towards me and then it goes away from me. It's the Antarctic. It's antarcing. The Antarctic.
And the sun's going faster than the moon. That's why it laps it every
28 days.
You put the constellations on it too, because then that's part of it. And then the bigger picture of because even when we think of things like the Prague clock, you know what I mean? How it tries to fits into the greater realm, possibly beyond Antarctica.
The stars are going slightly faster than the sun, and they lap the sun once every 365 days. So the sun will move backwards into each zodiac for about a month and then reset. Right? The stars prove the Earth is level stationary plane and that they're fixed in the sky. Right? The fact that no two stars have ever changed positions due to parallax, when you move, far things move slower than close things, but everything's so far away. And even though we're moving 4.4 billion miles a year, you never notice no stars ever change positions. That's stupid. That's stupid. You're not stupid. That's stupid.
Well, our producer, Rob, said we need to do a part 2 sometime. So
of course.
Looking forward to that. But thanks again.
All right, man. Thanks, Alex. And let me know when you put this up and I'll share it on the app. All right.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your.
See ya.